Yeah.
Yeah, I put it up. I have to get this straight.
Because I check it every night, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah post all the important information.
Right. I need to speak to Quintrain, a Thai fellow he's been great. He's been helping.
Yeah.
But it's because a number of people have asked, and I thought his email went to everyone, but I guess not. Hi, Azita.
Hello, Anne. How are you?
Well, thanks.
I managed to rule Saturday's discussion by using a speaker and my phone.
Oh, wow.
I recorded Saturday's discussion on my old phone. This time I'm using a newer phone.
Okay, because I tried to get something going today, but I haven't succeeded.
Okay, well, hopefully I'll get it all on my phone today and then go through it.
Okay, yes. And I'd like to get something going here so that.
Well, if you've got an iPhone, you've got an app on it that is a voice recorder. So somewhere in settings you'll have, or even an app on it.
Voice message. Yeah, I just have to find.
Yeah, video voice recorder. It'll come up with a mic.
Pardon? What's it called?
It'll come up with a little icon like a microphone. Anyway, go through it, and I'll get today's recording talk on my phone, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then
why don't we go ahead?
Yeah, you go.
I was just going to tell the others what we're trying to do is get to a position where we can make transcripts of some of what Ajahn says and post them on DSG, and to have them for later anyway. Some people find reading the transcripts of what Ajahn says works well for them. Other people prefer listening. And Tadao, you would know this, and Roti, if you're there.
Oh, yeah. Kunnina transcribe all the discussion.
I know.
Yeah, they are very useful.
So what we want to try to do with these Monday morning discussions is do the same thing. Recording device isn't very good, but I was thinking if we could share the job, share the work of it.
Yeah.
Put them on DSG, and then I think at some point it would be wonderful if somebody who knew how to use the technology properly could compile all of the ones that Nina's done and the ones that we'll do. They'd be wonderful to have in written form.
Yeah.
You like that, eh, Tadao? You like being able to read it.
Yeah, they are very useful. So when Kunnina posts her transcription, I read it and I highlight it, and then I keep it in a storage so that I can
read
them later on.
Yeah. Well, that's what we'd like to try to do with these. I think some of us are finding that our lives have gotten busier and it's hard to find enough time to do it all. So we thought if we could figure out a method that works, we could share the work on it. Either do it week by week, or somebody take the first hour, somebody take the second hour.
I think
whatever.
Kunnina spent lots of time to transcribe.
I know.
Talks, and she always chooses important passages.
Right.
Passages.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to try to do.
Yeah.
So Azita, you're recording this, are you? I'm going to see what
I record today's, yes. And I agree with Tadao. I really enjoy reading Nina's transcripts. They're so good. And that's on DSG, so it's been kept.
Yes.
It's not going to get lost off DSG unless something horrible happens, but it is being kept on DSG.
It would be wonderful, though, at some point to be able to put it all together and just well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Right now, we just have to get each discussion done.
Right. Oh,
You
the
don't
other
have-
thing is maybe they could just go into useful posts. Do you look at useful posts, Tada?
No.
If you go into the wiki,
Oh,
not
yeah.
WikiLeaks, wiki.
Through no, Azita, sorry, through the group or what?
Yeah, through DSG
And
or
then
the group, where all our messages come through. And then
Yes.
if you look at a thing called wiki,
okay.
and you will find useful posts, and there's thousands of posts from years ago. So, well, Sarah's here, so she knows all about it. I don't know who put them on. Probably Sarah and John had most of the
Hi,
work.
Zita.
Hi, Sarah. And it's so useful. Who might Leanne, is it I'm talking to?
Tam
Tam.
talking to-
Yeah.
Okay.
We sound the same.
A little bit. Yeah, so look up useful posts. They're really helpful and interesting.
It must have the title, so you can go and then pick one. You just cannot go
Yes.
through every one of
Yes.
them.
It
Yes.
goes through the English alphabet, and if you're looking for something in particular, you just hit on, you know, the first letter of the alphabet or whatever you want, and that WikiLeaks post will come up. A heap of them.
So, for example, if you want to find out more about Anusias, you click on A and then scroll down to Anusias, and you'll find many messages with very helpful detail and references. So, yes, we've been preserving them for many years now. So it's a very useful section.
Somebody's actually suggested they should be preserved in a great big metal barrel to never be lost.
Yeah. They can't be lost. Everything's backed up, and
Yeah.
so no chance of anything being lost. I'll give you the link on the list, Tam.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
Nina's summaries, well, where she quotes Ajahn so frequently, wonderful to have. So we can get ourselves doing that. That will be good. And once we figure out how, the sharing it, I think would be good. Sharing the task would be good.
Kunina's transcription of Ajahn talks, yeah?
Yes.
Just that she listened to the talks very wisely.
Yes.
Yeah.
She does. Hi, Roti. Sukin. And Warasak, is Ajahn there yet? Looks like maybe not.
Sukin is in San Francisco, is that right?
I mean, you would know, Tom.
It looks like the Bay Bridge, but I wouldn't swear to it. Yeah.
Sukin's really clever. He can be anywhere.
I'm in front of the screen, wherever I am.
And
Shall we
Sundar,
start anyway, Anne?
I'm sorry, Sarah.
Shall we start anyway?
Yeah, let's start. Okay. Does anyone have anything they'd like to start with?
Yes. Can I ask a question first?
Yes, please.
I'm actually I'm looking to find the answer for the you know how you have the eyes concept, and then the eye it uses the eye as a base, but for the mano what is the base for the mano? Do you know what I mean? You know, like you're hearing. When you're hearing, you have the ear as a base, smelling the nose as a base. But what about for the conscious
Or
or the mano one?
the heart base.
Are you sure? The heart base?
Oh, I think I'll ask Sarah to carry on here.
Thank you.
Tam, for all the cheetahs, when you say consciousness, seeing is consciousness, hearing is consciousness, whatever cheetah arises is consciousness, or we can call it cheetah. So seeing, as you say, arises at eye base, hearing arises at ear base. But apart from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching, every other consciousness, every other cheetah, not just in the mind door, but even in the eye door, every other cheetah arises at the heart base, the Hadaya Watu. So even the cheetah before seeing consciousness, the sense door averting consciousness, arises at heart base. And the cheetahs immediately after seeing, the other Vipaka cheetahs also arise at heart base. So every other cheetah arises at heart base. So when you say mano, mano means the same as cheetah. So seeing is cheetah or mano, hearing is cheetah or mano. So mano is refers to any cheetah, any consciousness.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's very clear now.
Is it okay?
Yes, terrific. Yes. Save me up to look up in the wiki or something.
It can
Thank
be
you.
confusing.
Yes. Because I'm
Does anyone
confusing.
else have-
Sometimes they use the mano and then sometimes the sankara. Sankara is the same thing with mano?
No, well, sankara can have different meanings depending on different contexts. So if we are referring to sankara kanda, then it just refers to the 50 chaitasikas other than Vedana and Sanya, which have their own kanda. So there it just refers to Chaitana Chaitasika and any of the other 49 Chaitasikas not mentioned so far. But if we're talking about Sabbe Sankara Anicca, then it refers to any conditioned reality, including Rupa, including Chitta. So it depends on the context, what the meaning of Sankara is.
Yes, thank you.
So Chitta is Sankara because it's conditioned, Chitta or Mano. Rupa is Sankara because it's conditioned. But if we're just referring to the Kandas, then Sankara Kanda just refers to the Chaitasikas.
Sarah, that reminds me of a question I wanted to ask on Saturday. I think I heard that the reference to Sankara Khanda is Chetana and the rest of the Chaitasikas. So I'm wondering why Chetana was being given as an example. Is there anything particularly about Chetana?
Yeah. Well, Sankara in that context particularly refers to Chaitana, a bit like Sankara in dependent origination in Paticca Samuppada. It refers to past karma, past Chaitana. So that's why people, like someone mentioned on Saturday in a book that's recently written, that the writer suggested that Sankara Kanda only means Chaitana because Sankara refers to Chaitana, but it also is just given Chaitana, but all the other Chaitasikas are included. But why just Chaitana? I think because it is karma. But that's the reason people misunderstand it, because Chaitana is Sankara, but all Chaitasikas are included. Yes, so in the context of Paticca Samuppada, then Sankara refers to past karma. That's another meaning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I
Very
couldn't hear Stukin. Okay. And I was just going to mention something, and related to something you posted on DSG about anusyas and asavas. So you were asking about asya as in asya anusya.
Mhm.
And so asya includes any kusala or akusala latent tendencies, including the anusya. So it's not for example, the kama raga, the attachment that is anusya, is also asya. So it's also included. So it's not that it's a different kind of akusala. So it's still the latent tendency, but it means it doesn't just include those anusyas, but all other latent tendencies. And the reason that the 7 akusala tendencies are the anusyas, as I understand it, is because they are like the base, the main kinds of akusala that all the other akusala tendencies depend on. Without them, there wouldn't be any other akusala tendencies. So that's why they are the anusyas. And also one other comment was, you mentioned something about the anusyas condition, the asavas. Well, it's true, without anusyas, there wouldn't be asavas arising, but the asavas are just 4 akusala tendencies, kama, attachments object, bhavasava, attachment to being, avijasava, ignorance, and ditasava, wrong view. So there are other asavas such as patiga, which is dosa, which doesn't condition asava, because asavas are particular, just limited to those 4 tendencies.
Okay. And those are the ones that are unknown.
They're the ones that are unknown, like immediately after seeing there is kamasava, which is clinging to the visible object, completely unknown. But you can also say there's subtle aversion that's also unknown, but it's not an asava.
Right.
So it's just the way the asavas are defined, the intoxicants which ooze out. So it's just, it just refers to attachment, ignorance, and wrong view only.
Right, and since attachment, ignorance, wrong view, and gamasava, isn't that?
Two kinds of attachment, kamasava, which is attachment to sense objects, and bhavasava, attachment to being, but they're both lobha, cetasika. So 2 kinds of attachment, wrong view and ignorance.
Right. Oh gosh, I just had something I wanted to say. Oh, the asavas, they're unknown to us, but with higher panya at very, very high levels, they become known.
Of course, right? for the anagami, they have to be known in order for those, and even the ditasava has to be known in order to be eradicated by the sotapanna. So it's just, they're the very subtle kinds of defilements that if the gross attachment's not known or the gross wrong view is not known now and later, then there's no chance of knowing the subtle one.
Right. So these have to be known before
they have to be known to be eradicated. The avijja, even the subtlest of ignorance, has to be known in order to be eradicated by the arahat. And even the very subtlest of, like the anagami, has no more clinging to sense objects, but there's still the very subtle clinging just to being. So that has to be known to be eradicated.
Okay.
But the anusyas are 7 akusala tendencies, and 2 are eradicated by the sotapanna, and those are ditthi, wrong view. Those are ditthi, wrong view, and vicikiccha, doubt.
Yeah.
And then 2 are eradicated by the anagami, the kama raga, clinging to sense objects, and the patiga, which is the same as dosa. All dosa is eradicated. And then the final 3, which are so very, very subtle, the ignorance, the wrong view, and mana, even the subtlest of conceit, are only eradicated by the Arahant.
So at the stage of Sakaragami, then, no more eradication, but decrease, maybe?
Yeah, diminution. Yes, a new word.
We all pronounce
And I
it
can't
correct.
think what the verb is. Diminuted.
Right.
Just reduced. Diminished, Jonathan has just come
Right.
in, pulling out. Just diminished, yes. Less and less, but not eradicated.
Hi, Sarah. Could
Hi,
you,
Tina.
could you give me examples of bhava asava? Is it not the same as attachment to self?
Sorry, I missed it. What was the question?
My question is about bhava asava.
Yes.
Yeah, attachment to being. Yeah,
Yes.
and I'd like to have few examples of bhava asava. And my question is it not the same as attachment to self?
Not the same as attachment to self, because, well, it's not the same as attachment with wrong view to self, because attachment with wrong view to self is the wrong idea and is eradicated by the Sotapanna, but even the Anagami still has attachment to being. It just wishing to be reborn, or wishing to experience life again, wishing to continue, wishing to have another experience, experience nirvana again, or whatever. Just very, very subtle attachment, but not attachment to sense objects. So the Anagami has no more clinging to what is seen, heard, smelt, tasted, and touching, but just to continuing on to experiencing again.
Okay, thank you.
Ajahn Sujin, are you here?
I'm here now.
Oh, good. Sawadee-ka.
Ajahn.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Does anyone else have a question to jump in here with?
North Americans, go your hardest.
Yes. I'm wondering, Ajahn, if you could talk a bit about the difference between satipatthana and, goodness gracious, sati sampajana.
Please say it again.
Okay, talk a bit about the
One
difference.
word at a time, please. Otherwise, we cannot understand the relation from word to word.
Talk about satipatthana and sati sampajana.
Okay. What is sati now? Or satipatthana or sati sampajana? If we don't understand the difference, how can we understand that they are not the same characteristic, depending on the cetasikas which arises with it and panya as well?
Okay.
Can sati arise without panya?
No.
Can sati arises without panya?
I guess it can, but that would not be sati.
Sati from the very beginning. What is sati? It's a reality. It's real. It's not rupa. It's not citta, but it is a cetasika which has its own characteristic and its own function. So at moment of akusala, impossible to have sati arising with akusala citta, because sati is that which remember or prevent one from having akusala. See, at this moment, who knows that that is kusala moment or akusala moment? they arise and fall away very rapidly, so very fast. So how can there be the distinction between the akusala and kusala? Even we learn from the book that there must be sati at moment of kusala, but sati does not appear. But from learning, intellectual understanding, it knows that sati is sopana cetasika. It arises with all kinds of kusala. So at this moment of listening, if there is no understanding, but there can be sati with citta would like to understand, seeing the benefit of understanding. At moment of seeing the benefit of understanding and listen, that is sati. At moment of when there is understanding of what is said, it is sati with panya at level of intellectual understanding. Is that clear?
Yes.
Any moment of kusala, no matter it is kusala vipaka or kiriya citta, which is even not kusala, but it is kiriya, there must be sati, because at that moment it's not a kusala citta. Can sati arise with seeing?
Yes.
With together with moment of seeing? Does seeing have sati cetasika
No,
with
no,
it?
no, it doesn't. It only has the 7 universal.
That's why life goes on so fast, we learn to understand it. Life is anatta, only different realities conditioned, arising and falling away all the time. That's why this moment of understanding, begin to understand, not just a word, it is sati. Because the word anyone can say and can trace, but do not understand the way it is as it is not self. That's why we learn each word to understand it. It cannot be anyone or anything at all. It is just a reality which is conditioned. Otherwise, it does not arise at all. So now we understand the difference between sati and akusala cetasika. Sati is sopana cetasika. And at moment of dana or sila, there must be sati. But people today do not understand what it is, what is there. So it is only sati without panya. And at moment of hearing, listening to the teachings, all cetasikas are performing their function right now, unknown. Even that which appears is not known. So without study carefully, one cannot understand the characteristic of any reality right now as not self. But after hearing and understanding intellectually more and more, so firm as satya jnana, no doubt about realities that they are not anyone at all, not any self, not self at all. That's why by anatthaness, the intellectual understanding can condition sati with which is direct awareness. So it has to be with panya always. Otherwise, when there is no panya, how can there be direct awareness and understand that which is now appearing? So we are learning about seeing, hearing, smelling, thinking, no understanding of the nature of all realities because they arise and fall away in split seconds. And so that is the first step of understanding it, that it has to develop more and more and more and more until it can condition moment of direct awareness with panya, because panya condition the direct awareness. That's why panya knows the difference between moment with awareness but without panya and moment with awareness with direct awareness, understanding of that object. And so there are different words like satipatthana, because patthana is that which sati is aware of with panya, together with panya, directly. So sati now, is it direct awareness and panya yet? Or Panya knows when it arises, no doubt about sati sampajanya or satipatthana anymore, because patthana is the object of sati with direct panya of that object. So from understanding, from learning, one realizes that at that moment, when it is sati sampajanya, it must be quite different from sati at moment of studying, understanding, theoretically or intellectually. But at moment of sati sampajanya is another word for panya, which is not the level of intellectual understanding. So sati and sampajanya is there on an object. So panya begins to understand the characteristic of a reality as a reality until it's so keen enough that it can condition the moment of the level of being accustomed, used to that characteristic as not self, before vipassana jnana can be conditioned. From intellectual understanding to the direct awareness with panya and to the vipassana. At vipassana is it sati sampajanya, at moment of vipassana, is it sati sampajanya or satipatthana? Is it?
I'm going to say yes, but at a higher level.
It is satipatthana. It is sati sampajanya, but of higher level.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that at that moment the object is not satipatthana. It does mean that it's not direct awareness. It does mean that it is sati with panya, with clearer and clearer understanding of the object until it can condition moment of vipassana jnana. So the word appears well, it's moment of vipassana.
Okay.
It's about a reality right now, just one at a time. No other thing else there at all. Imagine, can it arise just very soon? Impossible, because lopa is there, always prevent the understanding of that with the idea of something all the time.
Right. I had another question, but I've now forgotten what it is. It will come back.
Roti, would you like to bring up your comments about nothing, something, nothing, and how the wording you think can be misleading?
Oh yes. Well, I think there's never nothing, right? So when we say there is something and then there is nothing, I think it can be misleading. Or when we say before the seeing there was nothing, we could say what we mean when we say before the seeing there was nothing. What we mean is that that seeing was not there, right? But there was actually something before the seeing in order for the seeing to be able to arise. It's just a matter of language, I think. Yes.
As you say, before the seeing, there's always a chitta. There can never be no chitta at all. But Ajahn Roti and some people, they find it misleading. If they hear nothing, they think it means that there's like a vacuum or gap or something. But as you say, maybe it's just the language, or when there's not the understanding that there's always a chitta conditioning another one, it can be misunderstood. Do you have any further comment, Ajahn, for Roti?
About what, please? I couldn't hear quite well. Maybe because of the weather, I'm not sure, for the line.
Can you repeat the point for Ajahn, Roti?
Yes, Ajahn. Sometimes we say that before the seeing, there was nothing, or after the seeing, there is nothing. But actually, there is always something either before or after. I think what we mean is that before the seeing, that seeing didn't exist. Or after that moment of seeing, that seeing doesn't exist. But that doesn't mean it's nothing.
So it does mean that there can be direct understanding of nothing and then something and then nothing right now. But we learn, like what you said, before seeing, there's no seeing. When seeing arises, it's gone, nothing again, like before it arises. But this can be directly experienced, but not with avijja or attachment. But it has to be so satya, parami, to understand that even reality is even seeing and hearing and thinking are now. They cannot be known as just one after another yet. That's why Panya can begin to develop. Excuse me, just a moment. เสียงดังมากเลย Okay ไง คุณวรศักดิ์ว่าไงคะได้ยินไหม
We can hear you clearly, Ajahn.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay. Now, even we learned about there must be something. Before there is something, there is nothing. But what you said are quite real, but they do not appear as they are succeedingly, moment to moment yet. But from learning that seeing is not hearing, and seeing has different conditions from seeing, that's why there can be the development of understanding of no one and no self, but it has to grow so much that it can condition direct awareness of just one, because it's there as nimitta. Even it appears, whatever appears as nimitta of many moments of that reality, but it doesn't matter at all, because it's impossible to see the nothing and then something and nothing yet. But we learn that if there is no conditions for anything to arise, there cannot be anything appearing at all. That's why there can be the understanding of life is just a moment of different realities. This is the beginning of understanding reality as yourself. The point of learning, studying, is to attain the realization of the truth. Actually, they are all dhammas, no one there at all.
Ajahn, I remembered what I wanted to say earlier. In the past, I think I've heard you distinguish between knowing, appearing well and appearing clearly. And if I remember correctly, you were using appearing well with satipatthana. And then when the satipatthana develops to the point where it's vipassana jnana, that's where the object starts to appear clearly. Can you say a bit more about that?
Say it again about what the question is about.
Appearing well
Okay.
And appearing clearly.
So there can be moment of understanding the object which is now appearing, that it does not appear as it is because it appears as something, someone, all done, all day in life, every moment. So that, does it appear well as no one, no thing?
No.
That's the meaning of do not appear well at all. All realities do not appear well. Even thinking, even seeing, many, many moments as nimitta of seeing. And so many moments in just within, in a moment. See, many moments in there. So any object does not appear well now because it appears to panya and wrong understanding, sakkaya ditthi, atpanuditti, taking for something all the time as I, and now here speaking, see? So the development of understanding to the degree of appear well begins at moment of direct awareness, little by little. It does appear as well as vipassana, but it begins to understand just one reality at a time. No thinking about what it is, whether how many reality moments are there. Just that, begin to understand that what is appearing now is so real. No one can change its characteristic. So it is only that which can be seen at that moment, no one there at all. It cannot be just the whole world with many things, but only that which appear well, little by little, at moment when there is satipatthana. And how well it will be at moment of vipassana jnana and at moment of highest level, enlighten the truth. That's why we are so full that we think that now I see clearly, but actually no understanding that it's so many moments of the arising and falling of our reality. That's why whatever appears is nimitta of that characteristic of an object or a reality, moment to moment. Just one moment cannot be object of panya, because it has to be object of panchatwara vachana, and then seeing or hearing, and then sampatichana santirana. See, before panya can be there, even in the sense process together so quickly.
And you probably heard Ajahn earlier saying when it's vipassana, the object appears well. Well, and that may be what you picked up on. So I think that when it's the object of satipatthana, when it's direct understanding, it appears well. And when it is vipassana jnana, it's even more well. And that is clearly that's the meaning of vipassana. But so it's not wrong to say it appears well, but it's even more well. That's why it's so clear.
But I was, I thought
probably heard that point. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Sarah, can you explain when you mean by even it appears more well?
Because understanding has to develop. Like now, if there's understanding of seeing, the seeing doesn't appear well because it's just the beginning of understanding. It's not the sharp, direct understanding of seeing. But when it is satipatthana, the awareness and the panya experience the object well. So it's direct understanding, no doubt that it is seeing that appears. So it is seeing the reality, the Dhamma that appears well at that moment. But panya has to continue developing on and on until the object appears really clearly and one reality after another. And this is only when it is vipassana jnana. So when it appears clearly, it's just more and more well until it's so clear at that moment. So it's just the development of understanding, beginning with the understanding now until the object appears really clearly.
Because direct understanding can be weak or strong. So that's why it's correct to say when there's direct understanding, even if it's weak understanding, that the object appears well, that is correctly. It's not mistaken for anything. However, it may not appear that clearly, and the clear understanding of the object comes when direct understanding is further developed.
Thank you.
Ajahn, can we put it another way, that before an object appears well, it appears because of ignorance, the presence of ignorance, and when it appears well, it's because of sati and panya, and when it appears clearly, it's because the panya has developed more.
So in a day, does anything appear well?
No, Ajahn. No.
Because you see that at moment of ignorance, the appearing of something is like something or someone all the time. Like now, we see many things around. So does anyone appear well? Just one.
No.
Not at all. So even understanding the truth of it, that it arises and falls away so very rapidly, what appears is only nimitta. But the understanding is that it does not appear as it is at all, but it appears as something, as nimitta. See, but underline that there must be that which experiences and that which is experienced, just one at a time in a moment. See, that's why it cannot be appear well to avijja, and when there is rupa, it does not appear well, and when there is dosa, it does not appear well. So even the kusala of dana without understanding, it does not appear well. So before it can appear well, how long will it take? For example, right now, what is seen does not appear well at all yet. See? That's why it takes time to develop understanding in order to detach and let go the strong kilesa until it's the middle kilesa, until Panya can understand that that is the moment of elimination of the mass of all kinds of kusala. See, so at moment of satipatthana, just the first moment, or in this life or in what life, depending on the accumulation of panya, the first moment, does it appear as well as it appear more and more later?
It would not be. It has to start with very weak. I mean, it would not appear so well as after, when it develops even more.
So Panya knows that without more and more satipatthana, with understanding, there cannot be higher understanding or more understanding to see object well enough at all. For example, when there is a moment of awareness, direct awareness with Panya, just that, how about Panya? Is it so strong or is it very little? And when it's more, Panya knows different degrees, stage by stage. And the kind of relief is there as the no thing to be done at all, just anatta. All the way of the teaching will lead to the anatta-ness, no one, no self. They are very short moment of experiencing and that which appear. And when it does not appear, it's not there, but they can be thinking about it, see, which is not experiencing at all. It's only thinking about my house, my friend, my country, and so on. But it's thinking, it does not appear as it is. but it can be the object of remembrance and citta, which think about it. Is this the moment of appearing well?
No, when it's intellectual understanding.
That's why so many things in a day, and how many days are there from years and years ago for the akusala to accumulate on and on and on. So it takes quite a long, long time to really understand the truth of what is now appearing. But the truth is the truth, and Buddha showed us the truth, the way to develop the understanding of the truth until it can be the moment of enlightenment. We don't know when, but it depends on conditions because it has to go on in process from intellectual understanding to satipatthana with vanya, more and more to be vipassana jnana, stage by stage. No doubt about what is seen now anymore. Before there can be the experiencing of nothing and then something and then nothing. Sunyata, anatta.
Ajahn, we never remember, I mean, at least I almost never remember that the goal at this level of understanding is to understand Dhamma as anatta. And we want to work things out. So can you say a little more of the point of listening to Dhamma for the beginner is to understand that it's anatta?
Yes, there must be the understanding of the anattanness from the very beginning to the end. Otherwise, there is the I who knows, who understands, who talk about Dhamma, see, but still the I is there. And Lopa is not seen, that it's there as well.
So Ajahn, when we say, we talk about Satyayana, can we say that that's firm understanding about anatta at the intellectual level?
Because if there is atta, it's wrong. You will have more and more atta of each word of the Buddha. But understanding that actually what is now appearing is conditioned by its proper conditions. No one can make it arise. That's why there cannot be anyone. There are only different realities from time to time. That's why we learn about the truth, the Paramattha Dhamma, the Abhidhamma, the truth of reality, so that it can condition moment as have less and less attachment and ignorance. So let's talk about asava. We understand that anusaya does not arrive at all. It cannot arise because no conditions for its arising. When there is a moment of experiencing, it conditioned asava, not anusaya. But without anusaya, there cannot be asava. And how many moments today, seeing, hearing, smelling, thinking, is so very, very subtle that no one knows that it's there with avijja. Something all the time, titthasava. Even we don't call it and we don't realize it, that it's there. But before there can be the very gross akusala, after seeing 3 moments, asava are there. See, avijjasava, viskamasava, upavasava, and titthasava. And titthasava, unknown. But there is the idea, I see things all around, see? All are asava after seeing, hearing, smelling. And how many moments of seeing to condition the nimitta of a thing or someone, a person, or whatever, see? That's why a lot of avijja and akusala in the unknown until Buddha taught us all about the subtlety of reality to be known intellectually, to condition moment of direct awareness unexpectedly, or anattas. See, the anattanness, the understanding of no self, begin little by little until there can be moment of understanding of that object. That moment is not asava. See, seeing, asva, and then moment of understanding, just very shortly, maybe one or two or hundreds, comparing to the others, comparing to asva, it cannot be comparable at all. Much, much more than expected. So Panya begins to develop truly satya. Don't turn away from this moment to understand that what we are talking is now. Avijja so much, attachment always there, unknown. And we are talking about that in order to understand as much as Panya grows only.
Ajahn, can we have asava in the dream?
What is moment of dreaming? What is there?
Ignorant.
Thinking, right?
Thinking, yeah.
Not seeing, not hearing, not smelling, not tasting, not touching, but thinking is there.
Yes.
After we go to our Ravachana, what is there? Kusala or akusala? And when you cannot remember at all, it's there as asva, unknown, it's gone already. Before you take it for something in a dream, asva must be there. When you could remember, I just something there. See, asava is there.
Yes.
It doesn't matter to know what level of akusala, but we can understand the subtlety of all dhammas as Buddha had enlightened. So he taught us all dhammas are so very deep, so very subtle. It's so very hard to experience to know the truth, but it can be developed little by little in samsara. And this is the beginning of understanding, of intellectual understanding, until it grows on and on to the degree of direct awareness, and direct awareness develop on and on and on before it can be Pativeda. To know this is the way to have less and less attachment and ignorance, but gradually, very gradual. But since it's there, it can grow and develop by conditions, hearing, listening, studying carefully, and be satya to the truth.
Ajahn, we often hear that even intellectual understanding, pariyatti, is about the present moment. But I'm thinking now that it is not necessarily about what appears. It can also be about, for example, when you talk about asava, anusaya just now, anusaya does not appear, but we can at least understand that if there's seeing now and then there's thinking, that already the anusayas have been conditioned as asavas. And this is intellectual, and this can be said to be intellectual understanding, even though if it does not appear.
Now, or intellectual understanding, right? And
I don't know exactly the moment.
And clearer, we might be careless. We might think that the Buddha teaching is so very easy to attain. just learn to understand only intellectually, then it can be keen panya. It's not like that at all. Intellectual understanding can be only the level of intellectual. No matter how much one learns about the words and the truth, but it's still the intellectual understanding with the understanding of no self. Otherwise, it hinders the higher understanding with direct awareness because the I is there. It lurks all the time at moment of study and then thinking about it. That's why that is not the right way, because the right way must be very deep and very profound, because it's no I, but only the moment of understanding. And Lopa always draws one away from the truth right now to think about other things. By then, it depends on how much intellectual understanding is there to know that that is not the way. The way is to have understanding of no self, no thing, at moment of experiencing whatever is there. So it leads to more and more detachment from taking it for something. This is the only way to see that it's so very subtle, very deep, very profound, that it only Panya can eliminate it from stage to stage until it is completely, absolutely eradicated. Otherwise, it's the object of Lopa again. Just want to do this, just think about that for the self all the time. The self is so very deeply rooted. See, before there can be just all adamas, even intellectually, it takes time.
And I think, Ajahn, that what you're mentioning now also relates back to Roti's question about nothing, something, nothing. We can say that there were just Bhavanga-citas with the unknown object, and then there is seeing, and then Bhavanga-citas again after the sense store process. Or we can say the seeing arises not having been there, and then it arises and then gone completely. But an even deeper aspect, we can say that when the visible object is seen, it's like a bubble or a bit of foam. It's just empty of anything. It's like it's nothing, but it's taken instantly for something and then gone completely. That bubble has disappeared completely. So actually there are deeper and deeper layers of considering what is meant by nothing, something, nothing, because what arises is instantly taken for something, but there's nothing there at all. It's just empty of any thing or self or atta at all.
It's impossible to stop thinking. See, before there can be the understanding very firm about it, no one can do anything. It's there already. So direct awareness, just or aware.
We're losing you, Ajahn. We can't hear you at the moment. Sorry, we still can't hear you, Ajahn. Or Roti, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I think there are two ways, two connotations for the term nothing. One is regarding the dichotomy of nothing and something, and the other one is in order to express that there's no core, no substance, no atta. So you say you can, there is never something, right? I mean, there's not something in the sense that there's not an atta.
Something, yes. Because as Ajahn says, it's impossible not to think. So as soon as the visible object is experienced, there's thinking about it immediately, taking it for something, yes.
But I think we cannot confuse those two things because they belong to different realms of meanings, you know. And I think, going back to the same thing, I think that if we say that there's something and then there is nothing, then that means a gap. If we say there's something and then there is nothing, then there should be a gap. That nothing is the gap. But it actually, if we're not talking about the nothing regarding substance or self, right? So if we say there is something,
It
and then
depends
there
on
is,
yes, it depends on the context, because when we say that what is seen actually is nothing, it means there's no thing there. It's just like a bubble. There's no essence, there's no entity, there's no computer. It's just what is seen and then gone, like a bubble that's burst.
right. But if we're talking about something and then nothing, then we're talking about two different things: the something and the nothing. So and there's actually, after something, there's never nothing. There's always something else. So I think that's the point where the confusion comes. If you're talking about something, nothing, and at the same time you say after something, after one moment of something, there must be something afterwards or something before, then it gets just very confusing. The something, nothing part, I think.
Just check, Ajahn, would you like to try speaking again?
We have not been hearing you, Ajahn.
We can't hear you, Ajahn. Maybe technical problems. We'll carry on for a while, and then Warasat can let us know if you're ready to try speaking again.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think that Roti, it has to be understood in the context that there is always citta arising, experiencing object. So even when it's said, well, when the bhavanga cittas arise, there's nothing there, it just means the object is completely unknown, but there's still bhavanga cittas arising. So never any gap. So it's actually just referring, like when we read the Pali for the expression, it's just referring to the conditioned nature of each reality arising and falling away immediately.
I think we can, I think in English, we should not use the word nothing, you know. I mean, it actually does not exist in Thai. When you look for a translation for nothing, what you find is not have something. That's what nothing means in Thai. It's like not having something. That's what it means. But in English, if we use, I mean, in English, the term nothing, it could mean like even nothingness, you know. It's more substantial, I think, the term
I
nothing.
agree. I think you've got a good point, but it's the way Ajahn expresses it, and he likes to use it in English. So I think you just have to ask her about that comment.
Right.
But wouldn't it be not be a problem if we, heard the whole context? It just makes sense if Ajahn is referring to moments when it's bhavanga, where the object of this world is not being experienced, then suddenly something appears through one of the five sense doors, then it's something. So it's in context, you can use nothing, something.
Yeah, but bhavanga is not nothing. Bhavanga is something.
Oh, no object of bhavanga is not known.
But that's different. Saying that it's not consciousness or it's not whatever, but it's something.
Yeah, but she's referring to what appears. Like when it's bhavanga, nothing appears. The objects of this world does not appear. It's only when the vitti chittas arise do the objects of this world appear.
Well, I would say there's conscious object and then there's non-conscious object. But if you say something, nothing is, well, I find it very confusing. And that's not the only context when she uses nothing, not only with bhavanga, I mean.
Yeah, I've heard it used also in terms of, in the sense that that particular Dhamma is not there before it arose. So
that it completely disappears, that the object completely disappears.
Yes.
There's after a moment of seeing, that moment of seeing is not there at all. It has completely gone. But she says nothing, but it's actually not nothing. There's already something there after that moment of seeing has disappeared. There's something there, even if it's known or unknown.
I've always thought of it in terms of from nothing, there is something, and then nothing again. So it's a description of the arising and falling away of an individual conditioned Dhamma. And it applies as much to Bhavanga Citta as it does to any other reality that arises, has momentary existence and then falls away, to be followed by another that comes out of nowhere and has momentary existence and then gone forever.
But it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's conditioned by the previous citta.
There is a conditional relationship, but it's really not quite not complete to say that it's conditioned by the previous citta, because a vipaka citta, for example, is conditioned by kamma. Sure, it has a conditional relationship with the previous citta and the succeeding one, but it's not really in normal use. In normal use, we wouldn't say it's conditioned by the previous citta. That suggests that its arising is due to the previous citta. That's not correct.
Well, if the previous citta was not there, it would not arise. I mean, here's again the problem. If you say it arises from nowhere, then that means you have one moment, and then you have nowhere, and then you have the next moment. I mean, the term nowhere or nothing,
it just points to the fact that seeing wasn't in any store anywhere, but there were just only when there are various conditions, such as karma, such as the previous citta, such as a visible object which had impinged on the eye sense, only when all those conditions are in place can there be the arising of the seeing. And before that seeing arose, there was nothing. There was no seeing whatsoever.
Well,
so it arose from nowhere by those conditions.
Right. I know that's what it means. I just find it that if we use the term, we create more confusion. That's all.
It's a shorthand, really. It's just a shorthand, and without understanding it will be misunderstood. I agree.
And I think, as you've said, there are a number of connotations, but it's, you know, the language is not precise enough or perfect enough in this situation
and
to explain what we've been talking about.
Right, and the other meaning, Sukhin mentioned a couple, and the other way that it's used also is the one I just mentioned before we lost Ajahn, that nothing, the seeing itself is nothing, in the sense that it's just that reality that which arises. There's no self there. There's no thing in it. It's just that. It's just a citta which arises.
Yeah, but that's another sense, and I have no conflict with that other sense of using the word nothing. My conflict is like saying that things come from nothing. After something, there is nothing, and then there is something. That's where I find.
Just consider what the meaning is and what is implied by it, and it takes time.
Just to pick up your last comment, Roti, and I know I've heard other people say the same thing. After something, there is nothing, then something. That is not the saying. It's the other way around. From nothing, there is something, then nothing. So it's a different emphasis.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that. But because the present citta does not come from nothing. because
No,
they're
I know the difficulty you have, but
yeah.
Just cautioning against the stating it as something, then nothing, then something. That is not.
But I mean,
not the
what's the usefulness of using nothing? I find no usefulness. I think it's clearer to say that the present chitta was not there before.
Right. Arose, not having
thereafter.
been, and then not having been, it arose and then falls away to not be again. So I
Yeah.
agree that might be clearer for people.
Right.
Let's ask Ajahn. Ajahn, are you there now? Would you like to try speaking again? No. Just carry on.
Because that's actually the last way of using of explaining. It's closer to how you say what you would translate as nothing in Thai, right?
Yes. Just not having been, it arises and then disappears.
Yeah.
That's what it's really pointing to. It's just the condition
Right.
of it arising from not having been and falling away completely.
Right.
Tom and Bev, do you have anything you would like to bring up? Anyone else?
Alberto, you're up late, or you've wakened up early.
Hi, yeah, it's a bit quite early. Yeah, I don't mind too much. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Did you have anything?
Yeah, I think that everything that can be useful in the sense that anatta.
We can't hear you well. We can't hear you.
If it helps to understand anatta, is useful. And is it better now?
Yes. Yes.
So we any words which can help understanding anatta is useful, and when it's not doesn't help, well, it's not useful. So I think something and nothing can help to understand that there is no self. There are just realities which arise and then are gone forever. So from something then nothing. But I mean, maybe maybe it's not always the case that is useful. So I don't know, Roti. I don't have a problem with something and then nothing, but it's I can see that it can be a problem, yeah. But I also remember Ajahn saying that the teachings is not in the book, so no matter, we never find the right word for the understanding and the best words are just the ones that help help the understanding of anatta. Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Hello, I have a question. And it's about taking everything as mine. I read it in a sutta, I can't remember the sutta, but it said we take, I know there's I, mine and myself. This is one particularly about mine, and we take as mine because of craving and also because of wrong views. So there's two ways of taking things as mine. And so the sutta went on to say, or the commentary went on to say, we take, well, my computer, my house, my children, my grandchildren, my, and it went on, we even take this planet we live on as mine. So can you, I don't know if Ajahn is there, probably not, but maybe Sarah or John could make a comment. This mine, is that just through the lopa that arises so often and so unknown? We don't know it. We just take everything as mine. Does anyone want to make a comment? Or I think Sarah.
Oh, that's okay.
Go on.
When you're saying that, Azita, I think we immediately think it's like, okay, there's two things. There's something, nothing, something, and the something that has arisen, and the nimitta that follows that, and the thinking that gives you the concept of something, and then there's the attachment. It's mine. It just suddenly became clearer to me that how you have to if there were direct understanding, say, or if there were deeper understanding of what arises comes from. I like the Thai too. It exists. It's not there. It's there, and then it's gone completely. And then you add attachment to that. I could see how it's if you don't see that it's gone completely, and there's attachment to it, it's very strong. Thinking it's mine. It's something, and it's mine.
Yes, it's just that it becomes really big, like, the planet is mine. Why would I take it as mine? Yes, there's attachment to it. So I guess I can't really see the connection between mine and attachment. So, yeah. Ajahn is not there. Do you have any comment on it? Did you hear what I was talking about, Sarah or John?
Right, we lost our connection and had to re-enter the Zoom again. Sorry about that. What's your question?
It was regarding mine. There's those three things: I, myself, and mine. Yeah. So it's particularly about mine. And the sutta was talking about we take this body as mine. Then it went out bigger and bigger, and it eventually went to we take this earth that we live on as mine. And it was either due to craving or wrong view, but it was particularly about the craving I was interested in. How do we connect those two as such? I just thought when you think of this planet is mine, that just seemed like a really big thing. Do you know what I mean?
Something to which I'm entitled.
Pardon?
Something to which I'm entitled. Something that I assume is there to be experienced.
Well, that makes sense. It's something there, and if you're making a mess of it, you're messing up my space.
Right.
Something like that.
My environment, my community.
Yeah.
So it can just be clinging without just common, ordinary clinging, or it can be clinging with the wrong idea that there really is something that belongs to me.
Right, yes.
something
Yeah.
which I have rights.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the other thing, Azita, you can also consider in terms of when reference to the earth and the universe, it is it's not conceit, it's not view. So we are left with tanha.
Yes.
So when it's not conceit, it's not view, it is just tanha.
Yes, because those, well, what are the two that can't arise together? Ditthi and mana cannot arise together. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like
Yeah.
like the ocean, just clinging to it, but not necessarily any conceit or wrong view, but just attachment to the environment, attachment to things being the way they are, because of attachment to what's seen, what's heard.
And I think also, I was thinking about it before, you know, we've talked about how often and how unknown lopa arises. As soon as you wake up in the morning,
Right.
lopa.
That's
generally.
the asavas that Ajahn was talking about instantly, long before there's any idea of planet or
Yeah,
or
so
anything.
there's the attachment to, oh, yes, it's a nice day, cup of coffee, and it just goes on all day. It's forever attached to something.
Clinging to the khandhas all the time.
Yes.
It was not clinging to what was, as Ajahn always says, it's a rupa that we find so important. What is seen, what is heard, what is smelled, what is tasted, so important.
Yes.
Because
yes.
of the clinging to what is those different rupas, the idea of something there, the delicious coffee and so on, but countless moments of clinging to just what is seen or heard or tasted long before there's any idea of something.
Yes. Also, Sukin, you mentioned ditthi, mana, lopa, and that thing, I think mana comes into, because I look at everyone here and I look at your backgrounds and thinking, I like that, I wouldn't have that. You know, it just goes on and on and on.
Mana instantly.
Yeah. So thank you. Very helpful.
As soon as there's an idea about Sukin's background, like, oh, yes, it's better like that, or better he had his short background or anything, mana, clinging with mana all the time.
So Sarah, I don't have to worry about anyone criticizing my background.
It's their problem. Or it's just their clinging and mana, yes.
I have a question while we have a gap here, which is not a Dhamma question, but we'll get back to it. I am wondering how people learned about the link for today. Trin sends out an email about the link for the Saturday discussions and the Monday morning discussions. I actually now, I think I have a list of the people he emails it to.
Sarah posted the link in DSG. Sarah posted in DSG.
Did you post it today, Sarah? Or
No,
is this
Trin posted it 2 or 3 days ago, and I think I just saw you posted it also.
I posted it.
Trin posted it with the Saturday one, and I think that's fine. Like
okay, and that was on
Saturday
DSG.
and Sunday one, because then he posted on Friday or Saturday morning, and so I think that's good for everyone.
On DSG. He posted it on DSG,
yes,
not just
yes.
direct. Oh, I missed that.
No, he posted on DSG. Yes.
Okay, well then if I can just rely on that then.
And he's always very reliable because he always has the up-to-date information. So it's
right.
Good. It's helpful that he does it. Yes.
And I understand the link may change next week, but we'll all get notice of it. So.
But he'll put the link there. Yes.
Okay, good. As long as it's there. I guess I missed it. So I won't send out individual emails anymore. Okay.
We're going to leave in a few minutes to get our lunch. So I don't know if anyone has anything else they want to bring up. Otherwise, we're going to quietly withdraw.
Tadao, did you have anything else for today?
No, I do not.
Okay, what about Sundara? I see that you're here.
Hi, Sundara. How are you doing?
And Peter Hipson, do you have anything you would like to bring up? Any questions or anything?
No questions from me. This is the first time that I've joined the group, so I'm just listening and learning.
Glad to meet you.
Good to see you.
Peter is a friend of Tom and Bev's and has been discussing with them for quite a few years. Right?
Yep.
Peter's one of our groups, and we meet every Friday morning, and we usually read one of Nina's pamphlets, and the ones we read are booklets, and the one we're reading right now is The Shortness of Life. Okay. And we have many questions, and we'll probably have some by next Friday because we're on to Dhamma, and very hard to explain or to understand. But right now, nothing is at hand. So welcome, Peter. I'm glad you joined.
And please feel free, Tom, Bev, and Peter, to raise any of these things with this group here for further discussion or to clarify. It would be useful for everyone, I think.
I think Peter can hear you.
The main point of the booklet is that life is as short as just this moment of seeing now or hearing now. And that's all life is, just one moment of experiencing and then gone forever.
Forever. Nothing.
Not
something.
No, not nothing. And not nothing.
From not having been, just arises and then gone completely.
I agree with Rodi. Not nothing and then not nothing.
The tie is good.
Okay, we'll leave you to have our lunch so you can continue.
Okay, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you. John. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Mr. Sao, you're there. Did you have anything?
I think some people are misunderstanding. It's only John and Sarah are leaving. Some others are leaving thinking it's ending, no?
That's true. It doesn't have to end.
No, it does not.
Not at all. Ajahn, are you back yet?
I think next time we'll leave the text in her mobile phone or something to remind her that the voice or should not.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I think Ajahn lost the voice, so next time we just text to her Viber or something to let her know. Or maybe it's not a good idea.
Kun Warasak in Bangkok is coordinating this between Ajahn and Zoom and us. So I think, actually, I suppose we could text. I'll ask Warasak. Yeah.
Otherwise, next time, last time she said she talked on and on and on, and she didn't realize that no one listening to her.
Right. I suppose we could send a message on the chat part. I'm not sure. Yeah, we can try that. And then I'll also speak to Warasak in Bangkok. Alberto, did you have something?
I'm thinking about it. No, not at the moment. So sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Sukin, I'm sorry, I'm kind of out at the moment, but it's always Was there anything outstanding to you, Sujin, that was talked about on Saturday that you could talk about here? Something that maybe we haven't covered today?
You know, and I'm not a person you can rely on to remember. You know, what happened on Saturday could well have happened 2 Saturdays ago, and I don't know. You know.
Well, I guess what I'm asking for is there anything that stands out in
Yeah, I know.
from Friday, from Saturday discussions? Alberto or Sujin, or who else was there? Azita?
I have a little note here, and we know that Sanya, memory, is a khanda. And then I've got a little note that came from, I think, Ajahn. Memory is clung to. Memory is clung to over and over again. And it's a bit like that, that thing of mind, you know, all of these things arise and fall away, arise and fall. They're here now. And so that memory, I mean, I have memory of being in Bangkok, missing my friends, memory all the time, which keeps it all going. But it's you know, it's not me, it's not mine. It's just clinging to a memory. I don't know because what we take, and then another little comment I've written, what we take for permanent has gone. Seeing arises and falls away so fast is the nimitta, which is taken for something. So there were some great little comments, but that thing of memory, I mean, that I've been thinking a bit lately about memory, because the thinking, to me, the thinking, my thinking just goes on, and often it's thinking about something I've done or thinking about people I know. So I think that memory is or sanya, I can see why sanya is a khanda on its own. Rather than just a jetasika.
Ajahn, are you here? Can you respond?
ได้ยินไหมคะคุณสุขินได้ยินไหมคะ
ได้ยินครับอาจารย์ได้ยินครับ
ได้ยินแล้วเหรอคะ
ครับผมตอนนี้ได้ยินแล้ว
ค่ะดิฉันคุณไม่ได้ยินดิฉันตั้งแต่8 โมงค่ะ
ครับ
ตั้งแต่8 โมงเช้าตอนนี้ได้ยินแล้วนะคะ
ตอนนี้ได้ยินแล้วครับ
ได้ยินชัดไหมคะ
ชัดครับ
ชัดนะคะโอเค so we begin again about how much we can know is just now. We cannot know more than this moment at all. Is that right? What we are talking about something and nothing and then something must be known now. Otherwise, how can there be more understanding? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we hear clearly, Ajahn.
Yes, we can hear to you.
Clear enough? Okay. So now let's talk about now so that we can understand each word of the Buddha as much as now. What do you see now? See?
People and things.
Do they arise?
People and things don't arise.
Do you know the moment when they arise?
No.
See, even it's there. No one knows that it has a reason, so it can appear. So we start from now to understand that actually that which can appear has to arise, right? We don't know the arising of anything, of any reality at all. As we don't know this, we don't know the moment when it falls away or past, completely gone, right?
Yes.
But understanding from now that seeing is not hearing, right? They cannot arise together at once because of different conditions. That's why we learn to understand that which is not known now, that it's the way they are as realities, different ones, just appear and disappear so very rapidly that it couldn't be understood without Panya, which has developed to the high degree. But what Panya experiences directly must be this moment as it is. That's why we can understand what is meant intellectually. Before there is seeing, there is not seeing. So then seeing arises, and seeing falls away instantly. It's not known, but what comes next must be so close. It seems like no gap in between at all. But from studying, one knows that after the previous citta has fallen away, the next citta is there instantly by conditions. And that condition is the condition of the previous citta. As soon as it has fallen away, there must be another moment of citta arising. But it's not seen the moment which arises after seeing, because there are pawankas in between before there can be hearing. Even right now, they seem like they appear together, but in truth, it's impossible. They have to be separated. And what is in between is moment of pawanka, many, many moments not known at all. Nothing is known. And then the arising of hearing is there. See? What is going on now is not known yet, but it can be known by the development of Panya little by little, from intellectual understanding to the direct awareness with all that one has from intellectual study. Otherwise, how can there be understanding of that when there is the arising of the direct awareness? So Panya, which has developed from the intellectual understanding, is there. But the moment of direct awareness is so short. So how can all Panya that we learn can be there? No understanding of the characteristic of that which experienced as no self and that which is experienced as nothing at all. It's not known yet because it's the beginning, but it comes from learning, understanding a lot of intellectual understanding. But it develops each moment of direct awareness little by little. Then all that we have learned show up from time to time, stronger and stronger, little by little. So very, very little, very, very gradually. This is the way it is. That's why even we have lots of understanding, intellectual understanding, but they do not appear because no direct awareness yet. But when direct awareness is there, the arising and falling away does not show up at all. That's why it has to be the high level of Panya, which developed from understanding that each reality is conditioned, it's not self. And the way to understand no self is when moment of the object appears well, little by little, not very well in the beginning, but more and more well when there are more and more direct awareness with understanding. Can that be conditioned to understand nothing and then something and then nothing?
Yes.
It is this moment. Is there doubt? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, Ajahn, I have a question. When you say there is something and then there is nothing, what are you talking about when you say nothing?
Okay, now, before seeing there is nothing, but it's not known as nothing because it has to be moments of bhavanga.
But bhavanga is something, right?
But it's not known, but it's there. That's why we have to understand this moment in the beginning very roughly, and then later on we understand when whatever arises show up, it's arising, and then it's falling away. Then nothing means that which has gone, it's gone completely, never to return. But there are conditions for other reality to arise instantly. Just follow closely, so closely. Think about the word closely. It has to be direct awareness, which is so close as that, as hearing and seeing together. So the moment of direct awareness with understanding is just like that. Like never there in between at all. Nothing is there in between, but actually bhavanga is there. So many, many moments.
Right. So there's actually never nothing because there's never a gap between moments.
But when we are talking about doubt now, as long as it does not appear as it is, like vipassana jnana, there must be doubt sometime and somewhere and somehow. Unknown. See, everything is unknown when it's not panya, which knows it. It cannot be known to avijja or lopa or whatever. It can be known only to panya, and higher panya can understand better and better and clearer. That's the way to understand Dhamma as not self from the very beginning, that even right now we learn to understand the truth, which is hidden quite a long, long time, but actually there is something and nothing all the time.
When you say something and nothing, you mean something known and something unknown, right?
Even right now, yes, because you see that when it is understanding, even at the moment of direct awareness, it is just like now, but panya is there. Because you see that there is seeing now and hearing now and everything now. No panya to which understands it at all, one by one. But when it's time from hearing, considering, knowing that they are different, and they cannot appear together. And when there are more and more understanding, it conditions the direct awareness so very rapid, very, very weak in the beginning to just be there, to know the difference between the intellectual understanding and the direct awareness and understanding. See? So it depends on panya. Panya knows. When it's not panya, nothing can know that at all. But intellectual panya is a level of understanding that it has to be just like this. So now it is just like that. But panya is not there to begin to understand little by little until everything appears as it is as nimitta, but still nimitta. Because of the rapidity of the succession of the rising and falling away of realities right now, all are realities. So no thought about doing something to understand it, but it's like just the sati, which reminds us that it has to be this moment, nothing to do. Can understand it? If not, it's not time yet. Not enough conditions for its arising yet. That's why all depends on conditions. Now is the object that could be understood as what it is as we learned. That's why we live in the dark world of ignorance. What we think appears well is not well because no understanding of the nothing and the something and the nothing arising and falling away all the time. Nothing is left in reality, only that which is conditioned to appear, but so very fast that it can appear as just only nimitta. And that's why Panya understand better and clearer when it's there, little by little. All depends on Panya. Realities are exactly the same. The appearance of our realities are just like now. Never change, but Panya is there, in between, like Bhavanka in between. That's why there can be the understanding of reality as sunyata and anatta. And ignorance and attachment just cling to that which is no more there.
Ajahn, you speak often here about bhavanga, in between. And
yes, right now. Who knows?
Yeah. And it will never be known, correct?
And after seeing has gone completely, bhavanga is there, but no one knows because hearing appears closely, so close.
Right. And before...
Yes. See how fast it is.
Mm-hmm. It's very fast. And even before hearing, before bhavanga, after seeing, there will be kusala or akusala.
So many realities in between,
right.
Seeing and hearing, asava and bhavanga, and then seeing again.
Right. So I'm trying to understand here. Are you suggesting then that the nothing is the moments of bhavanga?
Right now, nothing does not appear, right? Because so many things appear together. But in truth, it's not like that. That's why Panya takes it for things and people all the time, not knowing that between that there must be bhavanga. Nothing is that which has gone and not be anything anymore. And then again, something follows instantly, but bhavanga follows before, unknown.
Okay. And but that cannot be considered to be, that is not a gap, because there is always, bhavanga follows known, but it is arising and falling away.
That's right. The objects, all objects do not appear while it is arising and falling away, never to return. And the other reality succeeds instantly, so quickly that they seem arise and are there together. Like now, see. So Panya has to be there to understand each reality unexpectedly and seeing that which is between so that it can separate, divide the moment of seeing and hearing with understanding, not anyone try to divide them. But the way they are is so rapid like that. And we learn now to develop higher, more understanding of what appears now. That's why life exists only in a very short moment now. That's why we understand what's meant by parami. Without parami, it's impossible for Panya to grow to that degree.
Ajahn, when you just referred to the development of Panya that knows that the difference between moments of seeing and hearing, is it the same way that when the Panya develops to the level of Vipassana Jnana, that
because the Panya makes the object clearer and clearer.
Yes. So when it's at even higher level, like Vipassana Jnana, the same way can be said that Panya distinguishes the moment when there's seeing and when there's nothing, means when it's before they're seeing there's bhavanga. So there can be vipassana, panya that knows that also, that from nothing there's something.
From the very beginning, what appears to direct awareness?
What appears?
Yes, to awareness, to direct awareness. Satipatthana and Sati Sampajanya.
Yes, anything that appears can be the object of direct awareness. In the beginning, it has to be only what appears. Bhavanga cannot be object of direct awareness.
Yeah, just one object, is that right? When we talk about the direct awareness or Sati Sampajanya and Satipatthana.
Yes, one at a time.
Only an object. But who knows that that object has a reason and far away, so many of them. See, it's only the nimitta appear. So at that moment, from learning and understanding, one knows that characteristic as a characteristic, right? The nimitta of that, only that characteristic. We talk about nimitta, but it seems like small moments, but it appears like just a reality, no understanding of that which arises to falls away yet, right? It's there right now, it's there, but no sati sampajanya. But when it is satipatthana or sati sampajanya, direct awareness, by conditions, it is aware instantly of an object. No choice, unexpected. See, not different from this moment, but what follows now is not panya or direct awareness yet. But when it's there, it's so close to that object, like hearing and seeing seems they are together. That's the meaning of clear, a little, begin to experience well, because it's only one that at that moment. And who can know what is there next? See, in between so much unknown reality, it doesn't matter, because that is the way it is, and panya begins to develop understand of the difference of different ones. Reality from moment to moment. When it's that which experiences, there's no rupa at all, nothing at all. So the world is lost, because at that moment it's only the reality which experiences, no shape, no form, no idea, no thing at all. That's why it's clear when it is vipassana jnana, the first vipassana jnana, nama and rupa pariccheda jnana. Even we are talking about the difference of these two now, they do not appear as that yet, but panya develops little to little. One moment to another moment, far apart from moment to moment, because of the seeing and hearing in between and so on. See, but it's true. It has to be just like that, because it is just like now. What is understanding? But when there is the development of understanding, it begins to see the distinction between the two, from intellectual understanding to a moment of direct awareness, and to more and more firm understanding when there is direct awareness developed little by little. No one there, that's one. Don't mind at all. Panya doesn't mind whether it is akusala, okay, it can be known, depending on whether it is known or not yet. But it has to be known, otherwise the I is there as asava, so very quickly. That's why panya also eliminate anusaya and asava. But it cannot be completed until Mahayana, the moment of experiencing Nibbana.
Ajahn, we are very foolish. We hear so much details from you, and then we think that we understand, but actually we don't understand. It's a lot of thinking with no understanding.
But what about intellect understanding developed from none at all, and then a little more, little by little?
But wouldn't the intellectual understanding first be that it's just anatta, everything?
Yes, don't forget, when it's well established, the study of Dhamma will lead to more understanding smoothly. See?
So Ajahn, it's like taking the self out of listening to Dhamma. Then only can there be any understanding.
Say it again, please.
Ajahn, it seems like we are listening with the idea of self. And so long as we are listening with the idea of self, there's no understanding. And that doesn't happen very often. It's very rare.
That's right. But Panya doesn't mind because they're all anatta. When Panya is strong enough, you know that no trouble at all about any reality, which is conditioned by unexpected conditions.
So even this is anatta. That's the important thing.
All dhammas are anatta. Never forget that in order to develop more understanding of reality as no self. Otherwise, study with the self and develop, the self grows on and on. Even from understanding, it clings to understanding so much. That's why it can cling to any reality except the Lokuttara Dhammas. That's why it's the second truth that Panya can understand it. That is the condition for happenings.
Ajahn, it's 9 o'clock and I think it's time to end.
Because you see that understanding this is so very subtle and very hard to experience. This is the way to lessen the idea of self little by little, because understanding of the non-self, anatta. So whatever can arise by conditions, and Panya can understand that as not self. That's why it takes how long to understand this moment, each moment, any moment as a reality. No one. That is Panya which knows. Otherwise, there must be clinging. That's why the opposite realities must be Panya and Lopa. They're so far away apart. They will be together. And this understanding, clearer and clearer, is the only way to eliminate the idea of self, gradually unknown, like holding the handless knife. So go on, develop on, listen more from life to life until enlightenment as Savaka Bodhisattva.
Ajahn, the Buddha's metta is incomparable. Of course, no one can be anywhere close to him. But then his audience had a great Pandya, so they all benefited greatly. And for all he did, it was worth his efforts. But you, on the other hand, Ajahn, your metta is so great. I mean, we are listening here over and over again, and still it's just like going one ear and out the other ear. And so I appreciate your metta, Ajahn. It's it's really great. Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sukin. That's what I was thinking. That Ajahn, you remind us again and again, and I can see that the understanding is very weak, but there is more understanding. Otherwise, like you were saying, we think seeing and hearing it all happens together, but intellectually now I can see that no, this doesn't happen. This is not the way the Buddha taught us. So, like Sukin, I appreciate very much what the time you spend for us. Anumodana ka.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yes, thank you, Ajahn.
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you.
สวัสดีค่ะด้วยกันใหม่
See you next week.
Okay. Bye.
See you next
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. I'll talk to you this week, Azita. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll come back. We'll see you.
I forgot about it until I saw it on VHE. I'm not yet used to this Zoom session the Monday morning.
Oh, this is just started, yeah.
Yes.